You're probably asking yourself, why is this dude doing top 13 heroes ranked? Why not something like top 10, top 15, a nice clean number?
Introduce a little anarchy.
And I don't have an answer for you, but let's just get right into it with number 13, Vision. Now, I love me a good overpowered hero. Someone powered by an Infinity Stone always has cool powers, and Vision is no exception. And I think the philosophy that he brings to the hero as a super overpowered guy is really interesting, and how he's not just gonna, destroy everything at will.
You are familiar with the thought experiment, the ship of Theseus, in the field of identity metaphysics.
So it's hard to put Vision higher up on this list just because he's never really been the main focus of anything. Now, obviously, he had a big role in WandaVision, and I think that created by Wanda version of Vision is an amazing character in that. I'm very excited to see where we go with White Vision, even though I do feel like that's kind of a cop-out on his death. I hate how the MCU keeps doing this, where they're killing characters and then bringing them back all the time. But as long as he's done well as Vision eventually comes back, I'm not sure if it's going to be Multiverse of Madness or somehow later down the line, maybe a Wanda solo movie. I'm excited to see where Vision comes back into play because he's just a great hero. Number 12 is Falcon, or now Captain America, but we can just call him Sam.
Don't say it. Don't you say it.
Left.
Come on!
I love Sam in all the movies where he is just Falcon, kind of a great supporting character. He brings the humor, but also has that kind of emotional aspect. We see how he can pull on those strings a little bit more in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show. I think he's going to be a great Captain America. It's hard to follow up in Steve Rogers' footsteps in that role, but he's a great character. Like I said, great balance with comedy and can do the more serious roles. Plus, he just has great chemistry with everybody, and I think that's just because Anthony Mackie as an actor seems to have great chemistry with all the cast in general.
Oh, that's how it is?
Oh, that's how it is.
And you can really see that on screen. He just works with everyone, so I'm excited to see. Maybe he's going to be leading this new Young Avengers team as the older kind of guy that's just, in charge of everything, organizing it all. But either way, I'm excited to see more of Sam in this Captain America role for sure. Number 11 is Hulk, and the only reason he's not higher up on this list is just because I feel like they butchered him so badly in Endgame. I don't even hate the Professor Hulk idea, but the fact that he was just kind of permanently that, but then in Shang-Chi, we somehow see him as just regular Bruce Banner. Maybe I just missed something, you can let me know in the comments. But I'm just upset that we never really got that pure Hulk strength in the MCU. He's always kind of nerfed, and it's hard with characters like Hulk that have so much strength. Obviously, you have to bring them back down to earth a little bit in these movies to balance them out. But him just getting absolutely smoked in Infinity War by Thanos, and then just being scared to come back out, and now that we'll never see that version of Hulk again, I don't really care for. And honestly, the only reason he's up this high is because I think Mark Ruffalo does an amazing job as Bruce Banner, and that's why he's up here on this list. Number 10 is Black Widow, and I have to say one negative first. I am not the biggest fan of her movie, but I don't think it's Scarlett Johansson's fault. The villains are just so weak that it makes the story hard to care about, but I think she is amazing in that, and her connection with her family, it's very nice to see. It's also just nice to have an Avenger that doesn't really have superpowers. They just fight on their own, use their smarts, and Natasha is very smart, a great spy, and we just never get to see that fully in the MCU, and I just wish we could have seen more of that. I did like her in Endgame, kind of like, leading the Avengers now. And again, she's just someone that works well with all the characters. She works well with Hawkeye. I really love their relationship. Just a character that kind of got done dirty by her own movie, but like I said, it's not her fault at all. Very solid hero, number 10. Number 9, I'm probably going to get some hate for this one in the comments from the Wanda stans, but yes, Wanda Maximoff is at number 9 for me. And I think she was absolutely incredible in WandaVision, but I just personally think if you think about the prior things she was in, Age of Ultron, Civil War, it was just a little too weak of a character for me until WandaVision. Now, I think the potential that this character has after Multiverse of Madness, and if she gets her own solo movie, like I said, I think she could honestly be a top 5, maybe even top 3 character in the MCU. I think Elizabeth Olsen is incredible as this character, and we did get to fully see that in WandaVision. Like I said, up until that point, I just don't think she was amazing. She was good in Infinity War in the very limited screen time she had, and it was cool getting to see her fight Thanos in Endgame, but overall, I just want to see more of this character. But like I said, I think she can rise very quickly after Multiverse of Madness. Who knows, maybe she'll end up on the villains list after that movie. Number 8 might get the most improved award from my previous rankings is Hawkeye. I was never the biggest fan of Hawkeye, but the show absolutely changed everything about that opinion for me. I absolutely love the Hawkeye show. I think Clint was amazing in it. It's nice to see him dealing with the loss of Natasha, also being this mentor kind of father role. I just think it was amazing. It was also cool just to see him fighting dudes on the street level. I love seeing all the trick arrows, all that. I feel like they just held back Hawkeye before. Why could he have not had some trick arrows earlier in the MCU? I mean, he was literally in the event Avengers, I feel like he could have got access to some of that tech way earlier. And that's not to say that he's bad in any of the other movies, like the little bit in Thor and Avengers and all that. I think he's great in all those, and I did like him in Avengers Age of Ultron. It's just that his role was always so small that it was kind of hard for me to care about the character. I didn't hate how he actually was, but like I said, he just never had that many things to do and was never that important in the Avengers movie. He kind of just always fell to the back. And I know he passed on the Hawkeye mantle to Kate Bishop in the end of the show, but I really hope we see him stick around as that mentor guy. Maybe he still gets involved in the action sometimes. So I really think we're just getting to the best parts of this character right now. Number 7 is Black Panther, and this is so sad, obviously, because of the passing of Chadwick. This is another character that I think stands above its movie. Now, I think Black Panther is a good movie. I just don't think it's absolutely amazing, but I don't think it's terrible either. But Chadwick is easily the best part of that movie. He absolutely brought this character to life, and it's just amazing. I kind of compare him to Captain America and this kind of stoic and believes in his ways kind of attitude he has, and he just brought that so well. And every time he was in another movie like Infinity War and you could see him kind of controlling Wakanda more, I thought that was amazing. And while obviously the CGI parts of the fight weren't the greatest, I still think the suit and its powers are some of the coolest in the MCU. I really wish we could have seen more of that. Now I'm sure we're going to see more of the suit, but it's just not going to be the same. Coming in at number 6, this might be another surprise for people. I've got Ant-Man.
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
I love this character, and I think it's the perfect mix of comedy without overdoing it. And a lot of that is just Paul Rudd being a very funny actor in general, and he knows how to do comedy well. So in those Ant-Man movies, even though they're very lighthearted and comedies, it doesn't feel cheap or like it's taking away from the emotional scenes at all in those movies, because like I said, Paul Rudd just has that great balance as an actor. Also, Ant-Man is the way that we've seen some of the coolest shots in the MCU. I love the scenes, all the fight scenes where he's shrinking, getting bigger in those first 2 Ant-Man movies. And again, the chemistry, this is an important thing for me. If you're heroes in this extended universe, they gotta work with other heroes.
It's an honor. I'm shaking your hand too long. Wow, this is awesome. Captain America.
And Ant-Man is just great on screen with any hero that he's been with so far. I'm excited to see more of him. Like I said, I hope him and Mackie kind of make it to that next level of the Young Avengers, and they can stay even though they're older. I hope they still have a big role. Coming in at number 4 is Thor. This is a character that in the first 2 Thor movies I really didn't care for, but we could see the potential in the Avengers movie when he got out of that kind of Shakespearean terrible scripts that he had and just the pacing of those first 2 Thor movies. Like I said, when he was with the other heroes, we could see the potential, and then finally in Thor Ragnarok, this character was just unlocked. I think Chris Hemsworth does an amazing job at both, like I said, the comedy, and he really nails the emotional scenes. Even though in Endgame they kind of turned him into a joke, I think he really portrayed the depression very well in that movie, and nothing that was his fault. You know, it wasn't him making fun of himself being depressed, it was all the other characters just making fun of him, which, like I said, doesn't really sit right with me. But Chris Hemsworth absolutely kills this character. And once again, it's a super overpowered character. He's literally a god, but it's so nice to see all the balance, all the problems he has, all the things he has to deal with still. Having all the power in the world doesn't mean everything. And speaking of all the power in the world, some of his fight scenes I just absolutely love. All the lightning, it's just so cool to look at. Him coming into Wakanda in Infinity War is literally one of the best fights in the MCU. I'm very excited to see where this character goes in the next Thor movie. Hopefully we get a trailer for that at some point. And if you want to hear my theories about that, I have a link at the end of this video to watch my Thor 4 Love and Thunder theories. Number 3, this might be unpopular, but you gotta put aside the recency bias. Spider-Man is my number 3 hero. I know a lot of people instantly want to make him number 1 after No Way Home, and I do think he's amazing. Obviously 3 is very high up on the list, but I'm just not ready to put him up to that next level yet. But I do think this Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man is the best one we have all around. He is an amazing Peter Parker in all his solo movies and in the team-up movies. He just is great. It really feels like we're actually watching a kid grow up as Spider-Man. He's just wowed by everything coming up in this world, and now that we have No Way Home, we can finally start to see that more mature Spider-Man, that adult Spider-Man life that none of the other Spider-Man universes have survived to see, so that will be really interesting. And it's just so nice to finally see a Spider-Man get done right by their studio. They have full faith in this Spider-Man. They're not trying to force a million things in, they're just letting it take its course, take its story slow. And like I said, I believe this is just the start of the Spider-Man story, so maybe in a couple years, once we get Spider-Man 4 and him in some other films, maybe he'll be up to number 1, but right now I think 3 is a fair spot. Number 2, the first Avenger himself, Captain America. Firstly, this man might have the best trilogy in the MCU, and it's all thanks to him. Now obviously Civil War was kind of like an Avengers 2.5 movie, but the other 2 are just Chris Evans just going at it. He absolutely kills this character. It is amazing. I mean, who doesn't love the man with a heart of gold? And then you see him in this universe, almost like Spider-Man. He has to go through a lot of different things. He's getting challenged on the way he thinks about the government. Who does he trust? Does he want to fight? I love the conflict that he has going in the entire MCU, all throughout it with Tony Stark. I think that's amazing. His bond with Bucky, again, just amazing. And I just don't think there's ever been a bad moment on screen with Captain America, so he's number 2 for me. But coming in at number 1, Tony Stark or Iron Man is still my MCU GOAT. The man that started it all has to be here, and I just love this character so much. I mean, the man basically was the entire MCU up until Endgame. This man made so many appearances. He was in basically every other movie, it felt like, and I still never got enough of this character. Obviously, the comedy and all the quips really works. I love the sarcastic tone. I love the dry humor. But it was also nice in things like Iron Man 3 and Endgame, really seeing him just deal with the struggles of being a hero, the PTSD, just giving up, and touching on the powers a little bit. Who doesn't love an Iron Man suit up scene? I mean, the suit just kept getting better and cooler in every single movie. Even though he basically turned into a god by the end of Infinity War, I'm okay with it, and the MCU would absolutely not be the same without Tony Stark. So like I said, maybe after a few more Spider-Man movies, I'm willing to put him up there, but this man just carried the MCU for so many years. But saying that, I do have to get this out there before Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness comes out. I hope we never see this Iron Man again. And you're probably thinking, didn't you just say how much you love this character? Why do you not want to see him again? But as I touched on earlier with Vision, is I'm just sick of the dead people coming back to life. His death in Endgame is one of the most powerful moments and probably the saddest moment in the entire MCU, but it was the perfect send-off. If we bring him back, even if it's just some cameo in a different universe, I feel like it's just going to take away from that moment. Not all good things last forever, and I feel like it's best if we just leave the era of Tony Stark and Iron Man in the MCU behind. But let me know in the comments below. Do you want Iron Man to return? Yes or no? Leave a like on this video and comment your top 3 MCU heroes in the comments right now. Let's see if we agree or disagree. Now check out my Thor Love and Thunder movies on screen now, or you can check out my ranking of all MCU movies and TV shows on screen.